start our European trip with a wow. Just so
You should do it.
So, wow, here we are at Heathrow Airport in London.
Wow.
Smile, honey.
Hello.
Where are you, dear?
I'm in London.
Yes, you are.
It's a beautiful day. 60 degrees, sunny.
Yes. Here is Deborah carefully selecting from the menu.
Bubble and squeak. Do you know what bubble and squeak is?
I don't.
I do.
Can you read it out, what it is?
It doesn't give you a description, but I know that it has cabbage.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Did you ever watch Two Fat Ladies, the cooking show?
No, you haven't said wow yet, by the way. This is especially for Ian and Adriana.
Your job.
Say wow.
Say no wow.
Bubble and squeak. About to eat bubble and squeak. Here's Deb looking excited about her bubble and squeak. On the way to Poland. We are now at, where are we, honey?
We're here.
What?
Warszawa.
Who?
Warsaw. The
And
way they say it.
that was our plane that we flew in on.
Yep, there it is.
There's 7 of those in Moscow. Yeah?
Oh, there are?
Very similar ones. Yeah. They look very similar.
Will we be coming back to the same hotel again?
Yes, on Friday we'll come back.
Okay, same one, okay.
So we're just arrived in Warsaw, and we're going to go downstairs and try and call Deb's kids and register that we're here.
Warsaw.
With new system in Poland from 1989. We had many changes in Warsaw. We said goodbye to many monuments. We changed name of streets in Warsaw. For example, in front of you, it is called Paul John II. This is street. We changed of money really. And just 2 weeks ago we have one act. Okay, now we're very close to the main railway station. Look to Jerusalem Avenue, just in front of you. On the left side is direction to the east, direction to our river. I think that you remember the name of our river. Vistula Wisła. It's the longest river in Poland. See, local buses and flowers, yellow red, you see everywhere. Direction to our longest bridge, but now we change direction to the right. The direction of the south. See Marszałkowska. This is about 10 kilometers long. And look, just it is pre-war section. Before the Second World War, many rich Jewish and Polish people lived here. Because in Warsaw about 85% medical doctors, lawyers, bankers were Jewish people before the Second World War. On the right side you see 2 small houses. It was old gate, old entrance to Warsaw, because the border of Warsaw was here. On the right side was Mokotów village, on the left side Warsaw. And you can see 2 small houses, old gate, old entrance, some kind of checking point, custom control. 2 small houses built in 18th century. On the left side, it was famous.
Here we are in our first cattle stop. This is the demographic of the group. We're the youngest people here.
Direction to the Wilanów Palace. It's about 10 kilometers out into Warsaw. Wilanów, a new villa. And in Wilanów Palace we have summer residence of King John III Sobieski. He was one of the most famous kings in our history. On the right side, direction of the Old City, to the Stare Miasto, and direction of the Royal Castle. This is the reason we call the King Road. And inside also, in Łazienki Poland, King Poniatowski. And in 1795 Poland was divided into 3 countries. South of Poland was called Galicia, it was under Austrian occupation. Warsaw was part of Russia, and north of Poland was called Prussia, maybe you know name, Prussia, later was Big Germany. 123 years, we have no country, and she was born in 1810, but it was very dangerous situation, because we have no country, we have no Poland. And when he was 20 years old, in 1830, he emigrated from Warsaw forever. He was in Vienna, in Paris, in London. In London he played for Queen Victoria, and he died as a young man, only 39 years old, because of TB, tuberculosis. Maybe you know story. Again, with eagle with crown. Small thing, but very, very and it's Belvedere Palace, and just if you're going this direction, the right side is the direction of the Soviet embassy, the former Soviet embassy. It was built close to our Belvedere, close to our White House after the Second World War. Why? Because we now have good relations with Russia after the Second World War. We produce everything for
Belarus. It's not long distance, 120 miles, 180 kilometers to the Belarus. Policja, by the way, you see Polish Policja, because during communists, but you know, it takes time to change everything, yes. And we have many changes now in Poland from 1989. And look on the right side, this Łazienki Highway, because close to Łazienki Park. And in a few seconds, you'll see small palace from 18th century, Sobański in 18. Thanks to him and thanks to Wilson, we're back in Poland. Maybe you know, on the left side, Hungarian embassy, by Anne Jagiellonka, by the way. She was not nice lady, by the way, but she was very important. Okay, now we'll go together. We'll go not through the main entrance, just on the right side. We'll have short walk.
big event today. We've bordered from the Baltic to the Black Sea. See?
Yeah.
And from 16th century, Poland was united with no Russia, Lithuania. It was United Kingdom, Poland and Lithuania. Two countries together. And on the top, see? Two, and what's happened? And it is the coat of arms of our last.
Here we are, walking along, doing the castle thing again, which we will do all trip. To what was the castle, honey?
Jenka?
I've seen it again.
Oh yeah, she'll be on the side. Yeah. Better.
Hey, honey. Turn around. Beautiful gardens.
Oh yeah. So pretty.
I love this feature. They don't stick it way out in the air.
Yeah. Wow, that's neat.
Cool, huh?
Yes.
Okay, close to me just for a moment. If you look around, it's a beautiful area, yes? 70 hectares, but the main artificial lake around, you see, and the palace on the island. First was Bathhouse Palace, Łazienka, Bathhouse Forum, which belonged to rich men, Stanisław Herakles Lubomirski. Later, in 1764, our Christy bought this palace, with the stone on the left side, on the first floor was bedroom, on the right side dining room, on the right side, and on the left side very big hallway. Very nice. And every week he organized famous dinner parties. Marshal Piłsudski, he defeated Russia, he saved Poland in 1920. And Second World War started in 1939. And during the Second World War in wars we have two uprisings. One was in 1943, the Warsaw Ghetto. You will see later, the ghetto area with monuments, because the ghetto area was leveled to the ground. In the summer 1943 we have no Jewish people, all Jewish people were there. And 1 year later we have second uprising, called the Warsaw Uprising. On the left side, Germans, Nazis, and our resistance army, our underground army. We call it Hope Army, Armia Krajowa. Because Praga was liberated, our really very tragic. If you remember, first destruction by sometimes passing so long. Okay, follow me.
Are you saying something?
and this is that beautiful castle, and you point over there.
This is the beautiful castle.
All
And
right.
this is my cute boyfriend. And we're in Poland together. Isn't that a trip?
98, 3 years later. And he was buried in Russia, in St. Petersburg. After the First World War, in 1918, we were back in Poland. And they moved his ashes to a small city where he was born. But after the Second World War, this small city again is part of Russia. And his grave was devastated, and probably, a few years ago, probably, they collected his ashes, and he is buried in Warsaw, in the St. John Cathedral Church. Because all our kings were buried in Russia, in Warsaw. Big citadel, big prison. See, thousands of Polish people were killed in this citadel. See? And just a few days before this November uprising, in 1830, Frederick Chopin, he emigrated from Warsaw forever. Because it was in 19th century. But on the beginning of 19th century, let's stop.
Where are you from?
Manchester, New Hampshire.
Oh, wonderful.
I show you this picture a moment, because he was a very handsome man, Prince Joseph Poniatowski. We have his monument, but you will not see today because it is close to, just in front of the President Palace, we have his monument. But today the street is closed, the section is closed. You see Prince Joseph Poniatowski. Moment. Because we have Warsaw Kingdom under Napoleon, and Nicolas Chopin was French teacher.
400,000, and our soldiers were fighting everywhere. I think that you remember famous battle in England, yes? A lot of Polish pilots were fighting. Monte Carlo problems. The biggest problem is unemployment. We have 12% of unemployment, 12%. But before we have 16 or 17 even, yes, now it's less, but still it's a big problem for young people. Because during communist system we had job for everybody, paradise, yes? But if you work or not work, the same money, the same salary, let's say we have no competition, we have no motivation to work. Now we should change mentality of people. We should teach people how to work. It takes time, maybe a few years, maybe one generation. Means Polska walczyć, PNW. Fighting Poland, PNW. In many places public execution. For deaf people, you see. And beautiful church, St. Alexander Church. Looks like small Pantheon in Rome. Reconstructed after the Second World War. Every Sunday we have special service for deaf people in this church also, you see. Charles de Gaulle, you see, it is new monument. You see Charles de Gaulle running away from the main quarter of the Communist Party. Why? Because Charles de Gaulle, before the Second World War, in 1920, he was fighting as a pianist. Remember, pianist was made in Praga. Because Praga was George Washington, but on the left side, we built second the biggest park in Poland, Paderewski Park. To remember this famous pianist, September 11 monument. And inside also we have monument dedicated to British pilots. Margaret Thatcher was here, Queen Elizabeth also was here in this park. Okay, now you can see many young people. Look, this main entrance to. You can see also blue flowers because European Union. Yes, we are members of European Union. We did blue flowers also. He was fisherman and he saw mermaid in our river. And maybe he was drinking vodka. And she told him to build small city. Because it was big artificial hill, I told you. They put all rubbers from Warsaw. It was the biggest market in Europe before, around the Sakistan. Every day thousands of people, especially from Russia. It was really also Russian mafia here before. Okay, see big pylon, look to the right, you see, suspension bridge. And on the right side we see red roofs. The old city, Stare Miasto, 95% destruction, can you imagine? Thanks to the Soviet Union. Sometimes people ask me why they didn't help us. Why? Because during the Second World War, in that time, with our government, during here, these flowers, you see? Looks like carpet. And in future, this city will be closed. It will be only for pedestrians. But because the subway under construction, in order to solve traffic, the street is open. But only for local buses and taxis, you see. Cross Basilica Church. It was a big fight in the church during the Warsaw Uprising. Can you imagine? In the church were many people, and Nazis from this church, but I don't know English expression, but they use people as a living barricade, you know, they push people, Nazi tanks, and you know result, you see. From this church, 1944. And now, look on the left side now, on the first floor, maybe Primate of Poland, Cardinal Wyszyński. And Bristol Hotel was renovated by British company Forte. And many famous people stayed in this hotel, like, for example, Mary Pickford. Do you remember her name? So, I just think. And we made tour around of a square. And in 18th century we have two kings from... Zatrzymasz się trochę na chwileczkę. Tu tam na światłach. In 18th century we have two kings from Saxony and they built big palace. It was called Saxon Square. And after the First World War, inside in this colonnade they put the tomb of unknown soldiers. During the Warsaw Uprising, this palace was blown up. Square, Hitler Square, Victoria Square, Marshal Józef Piłsudski, and in future probably will be Saint John the II. Because our Pope, he put some kind of fire. Can you imagine during the first visit of our Pope with about 1 million people? But in our TV they show us only the main altar. Like the martial law, second visit, and free country, you see. On the left side you can see modern building. It's nice or not? It was designed by one very famous Englishman, Sir Norman Foster. It's a nice name, but not nice building. Yes? No, Sir Norman Foster. Yes, you are from England, you know, yes, this name. Marshal Józef Piłsudski, yes? He is buried like our kings, by the way, in Kraków, and close to him, in Wawel, is buried President Kaczyński. Now, there are many people, against that, because close to Piłsudski in Kraków is buried Pawiak. And it was the Warsaw Ghetto, the so-called the big ghetto, to Treblinka. I think that you know name Treblinka. Second, the biggest concentration camp. Treblinka is situated close to Warsaw, direction of the east, direction of the Soviet border. And Treblinka, it was concentration camp only for Jewish people. Because everybody has some hope for future, for new life, yes. Nobody expected that to be Gestapo, yes. In this area, only two buildings survive. Look in front of you. Yellow building on the right side was SS Commando. On the left side was Jewish hospital, but it was only named hospital because Nazi, they collect people from ghetto to hospital and to Geszczembe, to Treblinka. It was Umschlagplatz train station. The first man who was transported from this Umschlagplatz was Janusz Korczak, Hirsza Goldschmidt. He had many chances to escape from ghetto, but he refused. He was transported together with 200 children to Treblinka. More alive, you see? Stone and trees from Jerusalem to remember famous people connected with Warsaw Ghetto. Famous rabbis, famous writers, Jewish writers, like also Janusz Korczak, Szymon Zygielbojm, and so on, so on. And on the left side, in a few seconds, you'll see Mila 18. On the 8th of May, Mordechai Anielewicz committed suicide, and 3 days later, the biggest synagogue was blown up by Germans, by Nazis, and they sent a message to Berlin. The Jewish problem is solved. Look on the right side. See, Mila 18, see? Underground, he's buried together with 100 people, see? Mila 18. Because everything was leveled to the ground, you see? And now we stop for a moment.
Just we pass this church on the right side. Everything was leveled to the ground. And also you see a picture of Mordechai Anielewicz. He was a young boy, 23 years old boy, and he committed suicide on the 8th of May. And before he committed suicide, he wrote one letter. And one lady, one girl, she escaped when he was ghetto by Siemens. She smuggled this letter. And he wrote in this letter that it was impossible to light a candle for lack of air. Imagine how the situation was ghetto. And 8th of May, he committed suicide. By the way, another very famous man, Szymon Zygielbojm, he escaped from Warsaw Ghetto, he escaped to London in 1942. He talked with Churchill. Nobody believes him, but were concentration camps, ghettos. And as a protest, he committed suicide, Szymon Zygielbojm. Yes, in London, as a protest. And just I show you also, remember all Jewish people killed in Poland. How many? 3 million. And you can see two parts of this monument. First you see big sculpture. It was designed by Jewish artist Nathan Rappaport. Sometimes we call it the Rappaport monument. And look, on the right side in the corner, you see two Nazi soldiers with guns, pushing people to Geszczembe. But you'll see only hands, but you'll not see Nazi faces, you see. Only guns pushing. You see old men carrying Torah, the Torah storybook. Subaru pregnant lady, you see children and old people, because old people, President Obama, he promised that next year, when this museum will be open, he will come with children Because it will be like museum, like Holocaust museum, like in Washington. You see this young boy Mordechai Anielewicz. Look, very, face full of fight. Yes. I just told you it was a big fight for dignity. They have no chance. Yes. The Bulgaria was leveled to the ground, surrounded by Germans. They have no power. Of course, some people escape from the ghetto by fuel, but not many. And you will see this young boy Mordechai Anielewicz. Look, very, face full of fight. Yes. I just told you it was a big fight for dignity. They have no chance. Yes. The Bulgaria was leveled to the ground, surrounded by Germans. They have no power. Of course, some people escape from the ghetto by fuel, but not many. And the Warsaw Private Museum opened 8 years ago. But second will be the Jewish History Museum, will be the best one. Okay, now direction to your bus.
Soccer, football. Okay, now will be direction to the old city on the right side. And the ghetto was on the right side, ghetto wall was on the right side. This church in front of you was also outside of the Warsaw Ghetto.
Monument, the Warsaw Nighter. Monument was built after the Second World War to remember all people killed in Warsaw, 800,000. We call it Warsaw Heroes. Because maybe you know, Nike is Greece Goddess's victory. And if you look at this monument, it looks like another version of our mermaid, but with very tragic face. To remember that 800,000 people were killed. We just not mentioned the Warsaw Uprising, Jewish Uprising, all the Jewish with Warsaw Heroes monument.
Okay, yeah, we'll see you guys later.
Okay. No, this is Jackie. Jackie from England. Yes? Wales. Hey, Jackie, play for us.
Yay! Wants me to sing.
But usually they have the best pieces of music, you see. Shop music. But you should always, in order to bet, it's enough. No, second time. Why? Just I keep you for a moment. Why? Because now the service is finished and I change a little bit schedule. First we'll go to the church for 5 minutes and later restroom, okay? You manage?
Yes.
Alcohol.
What?
Alcohol.
Oh, that's funny. Alcohol.
I don't know what Truszkowski is. Beer is high, vodka is high, I guess it's cheap. Pork knuckle.
Pork knuckle? Oh, wow. Check that out.
Oh, wow. This is beautiful.
Just a moment. Here. And Bristol Hotel. And on the left side, just in front, is the Old City and Royal Castle. But first we'll go inside to the church. Okay, for a moment.
Pretty.
We'll sit together. By big fire, and they added these beautiful Baroque decorations. You should make a moment, I think. Okay, probably have everybody. Okay, let's go this way.
It is, isn't it?
Right, okay. By the way, before toilet, nice music, okay? No?
I won't forget that. You don't want to have too many, or you probably shouldn't have one beer
I
at lunchtime.
lever?
It's bad for the bladders.
Try this from depending on how much time you get.
Oh wow. Oh yeah.
Kraków direction. And in 1596, this man on the top, King Zygmunt Svetov Vasa from Sweden, he transferred capital from Kraków to Warsaw and he built this royal castle, look on the right side, in pentagon shape. And this monument was built by his son outside of Warsaw, outside of the city walls. I told you, 1655 Swedish invasion, they finished in 1953. Even the city walls looks like old, but everything is new. But we have problem with money. The royal castle, on the right side, they started reconstruction in 1971, they picture. Panoramic view of the old city in 1945, see? Everything was reconstructed. It cost a lot of money. Now we'll go together to see the order.
Yeah.
And they rebuilt it. It's pretty cool. Love it. Now normally I'm on film, I probably would have said wow at that point, but I'm just going to say that's neat.
A sign of our residence. You can see in Polish language, 1st of August 1944 it was start famous uprising, yes, was uprising, and you can see barricade, you see? Because all city was surrounded by Germans and Polish people will barricade, yes? And we have one section of Warsaw, but many people were killed underground because Nazi they put some gas explosion, you see? Thousands of people were killed. And now a very famous movie director, maybe you know his name, Andrew Wajda. He received Oscar in Los Angeles. He made movie Canal Sewers about the Second World War. It was a big tragedy, but it was a very interesting movie, you see? It was barricaded. And every year, on the 1st of August, we have thousands of lives here also, people took lives here. Because everybody lost somebody, yes? 1317 Gothic style. Can you imagine that probably it was only one church in the world during the Warsaw Uprising? It was big fight, big battle inside Nazi tanks. There were many legends about Black Madonna, probably St. Luke painted this icon in Asia. Because of time, because of candles, his face is very, very dark. But each houses later, in the middle of the square, just in front of you, we have City Hall and Bell Tower, but later Warsaw was bigger and bigger. And the City Hall was too small. And from the beginning of 19th century, office were like today. And later they put the statue of the Warsaw Mermaid, half the shuttle. And during the Second World War, it was a big fight here. The section was leveled on the other. Just look in front of you, you'll see 8 buildings connected together. This section, because this section, 8 buildings connected together to the Warsaw Historical Museum. I just told you that the symbol of Warsaw is Merlin. Because I think for shopping is Kraków. Because in Kraków, you can see one of the biggest squares in Europe, big square. In the middle of the square, we have big city. Okay, from I hope that with everybody. I hope. Yes. Barbacane, which will make me very nice picture. Second gate was built in 16th century, like big military structure, but everything is different.
I think they rebuilt all this. This is the old start of the walled city.
Right. Alright, so this, we need to go over the drawbridge.
Right.
Wow, this goes on and on.
Wow.
Ooh, what's happening? Yeah, it's on. So, what's your favorite part so far?
Just the history of it all. It's like tragic and interesting at the same time. This whole area was leveled and they rebuilt it since the war
It's true.
on the old city.
It's so lovely. This is where our lunch is. It's our little lunch area. Where do they go cook the food, I wonder?
I know, I don't even
They all share the same something.
Sure. Another street just next to where we're meeting the group in a few minutes. That's in relation to the Warsaw Uprising. That's a monument to that.
And they're crossing.
I think that's what the tour guide said too. Here's our bus.
Those, yes, those are for emergency only. We do not take them as souvenirs. We do not use them on our husbands or ex-husbands. We use them in case of emergency.
Where are you, honey?
We're at a rest stop on the way from Warsaw to Gdansk.
Okay, and what's there in Gdansk that would interest you?
It's the birthplace of solidarity, of course.
All right.
Lech Walesa.
The gardening equipment and stuff like this. And they're still here until now. Huh? It's very, very nice because but once you live in the city, it's very hard to have your own garden. So a little allotment for some fresh Polish tomatoes. Ladies, and to have our second conference stop. Right.
Deb had to yawn on the thing. Excellent job. We're just having a walk away from the spot. We are going for a walk. We're in the middle of East Jockstrap, I think is the name of the town, right, honey? So we're in the middle of East Jockstrap Sea to give it the Polish flavour. Don't know what that is. Being a postal worker, we had to say something about this. You should be excited. You said you.
It's just a mailbox.
Just thought we'd note that the vodka is next to the Coke. We're about to start off in Gdansk on the, what's the date today? Hang on, start again, the 10th of September. We're about to start out today.
I'm looking for yes, no, seafood.
Gdansk, the 10th of September 2012. That's the central railway station over there.
Over there, just to the right hand side. And in a moment we are staying and we are leaving our coach. We'll be there in front of Gdańsk shipyard for about 20-25 minutes.
Police car.
From 1981, there were many of them in our street. That's why martial law started. I want to be sure that everyone knows it. I mean, what doesn't know it?
I have to say this because it's coming through my ear. 3 anchors on the... It's for the fallen workers of the workers.
Solidarity Monument.
Solidarity Monument for the fallen workers, built in 1980. The anchors are symbol of hope and the crosses in remembrance.
We are dreaming about freedom. We wanted to be free. And before, we thought about West Europe, how people live there, how people can free, how they can travel. We were thinking about having passports at home to be like you, but in that time it was impossible. In that time when America held West Europe with Marshall Plan, we were not allowed that. Stalin didn't allow that. And many struggles, not only against the managers of America, we still can face on all companies were special. They were not in that time in Poland. I think that it will be better for you when you stay here in the sun. You know, there are 3 crosses here. The first very big one that I wanted to support this.
Next to a hero. Hang on. This is the square where they protested outside the Gdansk shipyard. A guide was a protester at the Gdansk shipyard.
We wanted to release political prisoners from. Going to our friends, we couldn't leave them before moving.
Where you are?
It's a place where I've been wanting to go for a very long time. It's the birthplace of Solidarity. This is where it all happened.
And this is the Gdansk shipyard, right?
That's shipyard, right?
And this is the square.
The whole history of the approximately 10 years that they fought against the Russians. Now they're a free country.
That's good. Good. Thank you.
The Pope was praying here, and people stayed in this way. They back to him. They were forced for that. Chernobyl, Poland, something like that happened.
It's a monument of a kid that was worried he was going to be hit. We're at the Gdansk shipyard.
workers
He's in.
who were shot in front of the gate of Gdańsk shipyard. Over there, you can see just to the left-hand side, you can see lakes. They were very big.
Okay, these are monuments. Yes. Shipyard still works. They built a shipyard and a wind farm here. If you hear relevant stuff, say it because you can.
Just wait on them.
Oh, okay. They're building a European Solidarity Centre here. I'm saying this because you can't hear it and it's coming through my ear. Buildings were built in the beginning of the 20th century and many were destroyed. And Gdansk is completely different than before. There's actually 3 cities here, Gdansk and a couple others. What were the other 2? With a combined population of about 100,000. It's one of the police vehicles here. Yeah. This is part of the Berlin Wall, right here. These are 2 bits of the Berlin Wall. This is the 2 bits of the Berlin Wall. This is part of the Berlin Wall.
Maybe they've got more money, but the same wrinkles as me. And now Amber Museum is situated there. To the left-hand side, you can see the main gate to the city called Upland Gate, built in the 16th century by Willem van den Blok. Willem van den Blok was Mennonite. Are you surprised? Mennonites are your neighbors. They used to be our neighbors. The history is, maybe you think that some 100 years old, but no, these buildings are, all of them are about 50, 60 years old here. And the Russians wanted to do the same what was done in Russia during the war. 20 million Russians.
This is the, just going into the old city. Lech Wałęsa's office is there. Motwara River. The port is situated here. Up there is Lech Wałęsa's office, the one with the window open. There's a former fisherman's boat, and they're not making so money fishing, so they converted it to a pirate boat. Second World War started in Gdansk. 1st of September 1939 started here in Gdansk. And then Russia attacked Poland from the east. And then they started shooting at them. They thought they were going to be their protectors. This is the Russians. The president is not in office. Oh, President Lech Wałęsa is in his office. See? Lech Wałęsa's office. This is Lech Wałęsa's office. This is the main square, and just panning around, and at the back here is Lech Wałęsa's office that I was just looking at. And he is apparently here. The best shop has alcohol, flowers and gifts. necessary in any gift shop.
And sweets. What else do you need?
The golden house.
It's also destroyed, but later they
Always destroyed and then rebuilt.
everyone and they create stuff.
This is inside, behind that facade.
Building classic.
Fahrenheit was born here too. The birthplace of Fahrenheit is relevant for the temperature scale in the US. That is the gate to City Hall in Gdansk. This is called Golden Gate. Golden Gate. It was built in 1612. Written in Latin. This is what it looked like, completely destroyed. That's what it looked about. There's the ruins. Right there is the Academy of Fine Arts. A lot of people came here from Western Europe in the early 15th century to escape being burnt, escape the Reformation period of the Catholic Church. That is the Academy of Fine Arts and that is the Armory in Wednesday. The Melanites that lived here don't accept military service. They weren't forced to go into the army and they lived peacefully in the 1500s. St Mary's Church, it's built from 1504 was finished building. It took 104 years to build. It's in the Gothic architecture. This is this lot built with stone, but not with brick like this.
It's on video.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Not recording, sorry.
That's alright.
We're going up the,
Oh my god, honey, this is wild.
climbing up a bunch of stairs to the top of St Mary's Church.
That's kind of spooky.
Here we go.
No end. No end. Oh.
So now, this is inside the St Michael's Church. This is quite a workout inside this building. Okay, we just climbed to the top of the St Michael's Chapel. Pretty good workout in the legs. Out there you can see the Baltic Sea out in the distance. And then coming back here, see the river that I can't remember the name of, but that's the Gdansk shipyard in there. And out in the distance, the Baltic Sea. And you see this river that forms a big part of this town. Here is Deborah. Say something, Deb. Is that a healthy, refreshing walk?
Yes. Wow, what a workout. I wonder how many steps it is.
I don't know, we'll find out.
Find history, but my iPad's dead. So.
Is it?
Yeah.
How much charge is it?
Bummer. I don't know. I have a feeling I left it on movie. Oh, here it goes. I got it.
How much charge has it got?
I guess it's okay.
the city. More of the residential area. And the shipyards. And the river. And the bridge out there. So, some windmills out there.
Where's my camera? On the Apple? No. I think I'll do.
The largest castle in the world. Now we're walking across the thing to the castle, the bridge. It's this large castle.
Very important person, the second one after the head of the other, the Grand Master. This was a hospital. Old people, invalid, night who couldn't fight, they finished their lives over there. In the corner, where you can see the figure without the head, the cellar, it was the last room, mortuary, for those died people. At present it is a nice restaurant there. A mortuary and a restaurant. Someone had a very good idea for business. The last ruled at this castle for the longest time, for a period of 30 years. And he developed this castle very much. He often invited famous artists from the West.
17.
70?
70. Go ahead, one more.
I don't know.
Two. The moat with water, underneath you can see a moat. It was 12 meters deep. Then the moat with water surrounded only this part of the castle. But in the 14th century they developed the castle, they built the middle castle. From that time the moat with water surrounded two parts of the castle, and from that time this moat was always dry and it served. Two of them were two grandmasters were buried in the first half of the 14th century. On the left hand.
This is the garden of the Grand Masters.
20 meters deep. On the ground floor, yeah, they were stores with food, with the daily articles, like meat, fish, salt, very nice beer, of course, and other daily articles. The first floor around, you can see a beautiful gallery cloister. It served for the nights to walk, to relax, and to pray, because in that corner there was the church of Virgin Mary. Here you can see the tallest tower of this castle. It is over 40 meters high from this courtyard and over.
Penny spread. The small coin was payment for 1 hour work in this castle in 15th century. Another coin, bigger one, is called shilling. Shilling was and still is payment for 1 day of work. For our guides.
Thank you very much.
For 1
They
shilling,
work very
you
hard.
can buy 24 eggs or 8 liters beer. Shoes cost 5 shillings. The salt of the cow, 60 shillings. Today you can buy this coin.
Top of the tower of the castle. Alright, mate. Both movies and photos.
Well, I should give you mine and you should give me...
Alright, no worries. So this is the Kiwi that ran up the top of the... What was your name again?
Lance.
Lance. I'm sorry. This is Lance the Kiwi that ran up to the top of the tower with me. And we were supposed to do it in 10 minutes and we did it in about 8, right?
Yeah. 38.
That's the tower there. Deb at the Mecca at Solidarity headquarters at the Gdansk shipyards. Hey Deb,
Yeah.
look at me. Filming her as she walks away from her Mecca.
The old communist block type housing that we're looking at here. This lady was saying some of them were as little as 25 square meters.
With a 20-year waiting list to get in them too.
Yeah. Exactly the same.
Okay, we're going in a small town. I can't remember the name. It starts with T. We're in what?
Turin.
We're in Turin. Now this river is only 140 kilometers from the Baltic Sea, so they use it for the merchant shipping to take goods from there. And there is the bridge. Turin was set up in 1230 by the same knights as the place in the castle yesterday. Up here ahead, this castle that fit 12 knights. Turin is the name of the town.
This market square 45. And in the corner, 40, 41, 42, was small Lithuanian castle. At first, civic rights received this flag of but the people which worked for old city only
This is Leaning Tower to reinforce
I will tell you the
walls.
legend when we go to the vicinity of the Leaning Tower. But from this place,
That's where they tried people. They had to put their heels up against the wall and then put your hands out. Uh-oh. Not a good husband. Lance.
Come on. Come on,
Go for it, Lance.
Come on. Yay!
of this part of Chełmińska land, so exactly we call Gothic from the Vistula. But this dark brick, it means immediately that this is from the Middle Ages, 13th, 14th and 15th centuries.
It's born in the Gothic style. It's a big student town. There's 14,000 students at the university here.
Another
Nicholas
merchant
Copernicus.
family. Now they're connected for museum, and so why you see describing Dom Mikołaja Kopernika on this neighbor mansion, because it's the main entrance to the museum. But he was born in the smaller one. This house parents received like wedding gift. So he stayed here 7 years only.
This church was visited by John Paul II in 1999. Some of the old kings were left there too.
Entrance to the city. Original, it's remained up to our time from the 14th century. In that gates were invited all imported guests like Polish kings. And when they were invited in the gates, call biggest in Poland bell on the tower of the parish church, it's called tuba Dei. In Latin language, it means trombone of God. Outside, you see the clock with one finger show you the time only, without minutes. So this clock calls Digitus Dei. Inside Tuba Dei and outside Digitus Dei. It was the clock for the raftsmen which worked on the Vistula, and it showed the time when they have to finish work. It belongs to 17th century. As I told you, Torun was bombarded by Sweden from another part of the Vistula. So they destroyed a lot of houses, but not completely. So when they restored it, it was another style. What remained, what was destroyed, that restored another style. Because 13th, 14th and 15th century developed a Gothic style, then Renaissance, 17th century Baroque, Rococo, and the 18th, 19th century Liberty, Classic, and everything. So we can see everything.
The town is famous for gingerbread, which goes back, it can be kept a long time, it goes right back to the 15th. The gingerbread shop.
This typical cover of glaze, but another one covered on chocolate. They have different forms, but the taste is the same. So only changing.
Town here, and you can see the statue of Nicholas Copernicus. Alpine Square. Main building, palace and town hall. The tower was built first. The tower was a symbol of power. The Germans that came here came through here as the Swiss did.
About Polish nationality.
An open tower.
For example, in Warsaw, the monument
Oh, you can.
of Nicolaus Copernicus was in Polish language. His statue was built in 1891. Why? Currently,
Palace was built in
wanted to
1311.
underline, wanted to show to
Then
everybody
replaced in
that the
1891.
inhabitants of the city still are part of the town hall.
Going to the courtyard of the town hall through here. And up there, we're going to walk up there later on.
Meeting hall for concert, for dance. And this part belongs to our kings. As I told you, inhabitants of the city above the gates, which have you seen in
It's the crest of the
defensive
city.
wall. Half gates, it's closed for enemy, and half gates, it's open for friends. This crest is from the 15th century. So why you can see, like, you can buy like souvenirs, different angels. We have.
It's a model of the city made in brass.
It's everything which remain from the 14th century, 13th century when Turin the civic stamp. And to stand from here, in this place before was Hotel de Varsovie, in which stayed Napoleon when he returned from Moscow.
These are fresks from the 14th century. John Paul II. Now, this whole thing was built around, the first people that were here were around 1900 AD, but they think people were here before. These two buildings here, have ruins. There's archaeological digs because this was where the first of the kings were buried under here from that time. This is the oldest part of this city of Poznan, and then and this is on an island, and then there's the old city, which is about 700 years old, and then the newer part, the main city now, which is 300 years old. We're just walking towards the chapel. We're inside this old church in Poznan. is the main Poznan Square. Center Hall of Poznan. This dates back to 1200 when this was built. Coming up on the left is where the kings used to live in that, where we were, where that castle, where that church was in 1900, but they moved their castle to down the street there. Up here is the town hall, this large tower. These date back to the Middle Ages, and people were taxed on the amount of windows they had, so the rich people had more wider windows, or just had one. It's our local guy in Poznan. Apollo fountain, god of arts, and there's one of these on each side of the square.
Oh, I did it. I did it again, mother.
Many times for some excavations, a new fountain. Oh, you see, something will happen to the right, the stage as well, so you see, like the theater. We are very close. Now we return to the left side and we go close to the other typical building to Poznan at the castle. It was the castle to German empires during this partition. Now we say that it is a castle of culture. It is the place, it is the headquarter house. New wing is the same style, we can say, similar style. And the round glass building, which is concert hall of this university.